Have you ever wondered what happens when fitness becomes fatal and trust becomes a weapon? In the chrome and mirror world of Dubai's most exclusive fitness empire, where personal training sessions cost more than most people's monthly salary and membership fees reach six figures, Isabella Cruz thought she had found her American dream wrapped in designer workout gear. What started as professional coaching would end in surveillance footage, and what began as attraction would destroy a fitness dynasty built on steel and lies. Scene setting, Elite Fitness Dubai Dawn. On the morning of October 14th, 2024, the emergency sirens that pierced Dubai's dawn silence weren't the usual call for the city's morning runners. They were the harsh wail of ambulances racing toward Platinum Fitness Dubai, the city's most exclusive gym, where celebrities, royalty, and billionaires sculpted their bodies behind bulletproof glass and gold-plated equipment. The body of Isabella Maria Cruz, a 29-year-old Filipina personal trainer, lay crumpled in the private VIP training room, her athletic physique still visible in designer workout clothes that cost more than her family's monthly income back home. Standing in the corner, trembling in a $5,000 Lululemon set stained with blood, was Layla Al-Mansouri, wife of the gym's owner, clutching a tablet displaying intimate videos that would soon become evidence in Dubai's most scandalous murder trial. Isabella Maria Cruz was born on August 22, 1995, in Davao City, Mindanao, the eldest daughter of a family where physical strength was survival and athletic achievement was the only path to prosperity. Her father, Ricardo, worked as a construction laborer, his powerful frame built from decades of carrying concrete blocks under the Philippine sun. Her mother, Elena, cleaned houses for wealthy Filipino families while training Isabella and her three siblings in traditional Filipino martial arts every evening after work. At 16, Isabella's natural athleticism caught the attention of her high school's basketball coach, Mrs. Santos, who recognized potential that could transcend economic limitations. "You have something special," she told Isabella after watching her outperform boys twice her size during tryouts. "But in the Philippines, women's sports don't pay the bills. Consider fitness training. Rich foreigners pay good money for what comes naturally to you." In January 2019, Isabella arrived at Dubai International Airport carrying her certified personal training credentials, a collection of athletic wear purchased with her family's life savings, and dreams of building a fitness empire that would lift her entire family from poverty. The employment agency had promised her a position at Dubai's most prestigious gym, where she could earn $3,000 monthly training clients who spent more on single workout sessions than most Filipinos earned in a year. Her contract seemed impossibly generous. Luxury apartment near Dubai Marina, health insurance, 1-month paid vacation annually, and commission bonuses that could double her base salary. For a woman who had trained clients in makeshift garage gyms back home, the promise of working with Olympic standard equipment and celebrity clientele felt like a fantasy too good to be true. Platinum Fitness Dubai existed in a realm beyond ordinary luxury. Built from imported Italian marble and equipped with machines that cost more than luxury cars, it served as the unofficial training ground for Dubai's social elite. Isabella's supervisor, Amara Al-Zara, a former Olympic athlete turned fitness entrepreneur, made the hierarchy crystal clear during Isabella's first day. "You are here to transform bodies, not to form relationships," Amara explained, her voice echoing in the chrome-lined training studio decorated with photographs of celebrity clients. "Our members pay premium prices for professional distance. You smile, you train, you deliver results, and you remain invisible outside these walls. Your job is to make them look perfect for their Instagram posts, not to become part of their personal lives." Isabella nodded, adjusting her specially ordered uniform that had cost 3 months of her previous salary. In the Philippines, she had been a respected trainer with her own small following. Here, she was employee 23, another Filipina face in a city where foreign workers were expected to enhance local lives while remaining fundamentally separate from them. Rashid bin Ahmed Al Mansouri represented everything Dubai's fitness elite valued and feared in equal measure. Born in 1978 to a family that had transformed oil wealth into a diversified business empire worth $2.8 billion, he had inherited not just extraordinary wealth, but the psychological complexity that came with having every physical desire immediately fulfilled since childhood. Educated at Stanford Business School and trained by former Navy SEAL instructors, Rashid spoke 4 languages fluently and could discuss everything from cryptocurrency investments to advanced sports medicine with equal expertise. But beneath his perfectly sculpted physique and charming public persona lay a man whose obsession with physical perfection had evolved into something far more dangerous than mere vanity. His marriage to Layla Al Maktoum in 2015 had united 2 of the UAE's most influential business dynasties. The wedding, featured on the covers of 3 international magazines, showcased a couple that seemed genetically engineered for success. Both beautiful, wealthy, and committed to maintaining their status as Dubai's premier power couple. But those who knew Rashid understood that his need for admiration extended far beyond his wife's devotion. The moment that would change 3 lives forever happened during Isabella's 3rd week at Platinum Fitness, in the gym's private VIP training room reserved for clients whose privacy was worth more than most people's annual salaries. Isabella had been assigned to train Rashid after his previous trainer, a German Olympic champion, had been suddenly terminated for unprofessional conduct that was never fully explained. "I need someone who understands that fitness is warfare," Rashid explained during their initial consultation, his eyes studying Isabella's athletic form with the intensity of someone evaluating expensive equipment. "My body is my business card, my discipline is my brand, and my results are my reputation. Can you handle that level of pressure?" Isabella met his gaze directly, her 5 years of training demanding clients having taught her to project confidence even when facing intimidation. "Your results will speak for themselves, Mr. Al Mansouri. I don't train bodies, I transform lives." What began as a standard client-trainer relationship evolved into something more complex during their 2nd session, when Rashid deliberately pushed beyond his physical limits to impress Isabella with his pain tolerance. As he collapsed after an impossible set of weighted pull-ups, Isabella caught him, her hands supporting his muscled torso in a way that was both professional and undeniably intimate. "You don't need to prove anything to me," Isabella said, helping him to the recovery bench. "I'm here to optimize your performance, not to judge your limits." "Everyone judges," Rashid replied, his breathing heavy from exertion and something else entirely. "My wife judges my appearance, my business partners judge my discipline, the media judges my lifestyle, but you just see potential." Isabella felt the dangerous shift in their dynamic but maintained her professional demeanor. "I see a client who pays me to deliver results, nothing more, nothing less." But even as she spoke the words, Isabella recognized the intensity in Rashid's eyes. The same obsessive focus he applied to his workouts was now being directed toward her personally. What began as professional appreciation evolved into something far more dangerous over the following weeks. Rashid, accustomed to relationships where his wealth was the primary attraction, found himself genuinely intrigued by Isabella's indifference to his business empire and social status. Her focus on his physical development rather than his financial portfolio represented a form of attention he had never experienced. The gifts started subtly and seemed work-related. High-end fitness equipment accidentally delivered to Isabella's apartment with notes reading, "For someone who understands excellence." Then specialized nutrition supplements that cost more than her monthly salary, conveniently labeled as client samples. Each present came with the same message. This was professional investment, not personal courtship. Isabella's roommate, Carmen Reyes, another Filipina trainer working at a competing gym, warned her during their weekend calls to family back home. "Rich Arab men don't give gifts without expecting something in return, Isabella. Remember what happened to Maria at the luxury hotel? She thought she was special too." But Isabella had been sending home $2,500 monthly instead of her usual $1,800, using money from selling the gifts to cover her father's dialysis treatments. Her youngest sister, Patricia, could now afford nursing school tuition. For the first time since arriving in Dubai, Isabella felt like she was actually building the prosperous life she had promised her family. By May 2024, their training sessions had evolved beyond the standard client-trainer boundaries. Rashid began booking extended private sessions in the gym's VIP room, ostensibly for advanced techniques that required complete privacy. These sessions, lasting 3 hours instead of the standard one, allowed conversations that revealed his profound loneliness despite being surrounded by business associates and social obligations. "Do you ever feel like your body isn't your own?" Rashid asked one evening after a particularly intense training session, his sweat-soaked shirt clinging to muscles that Isabella had helped sculpt over 2 months. "Every day," Isabella replied honestly, her own workout clothes damp from demonstrating proper form. "But that's the price of perfection. We sacrifice comfort for results." "I meant something different," Rashid continued, moving closer than professional distance would permit. "I meant feeling like your body exists for other people's approval, other people's desires, other people's expectations. Like you're trapped inside something beautiful that belongs to everyone except yourself." These conversations, always framed as discussions about fitness philosophy and body image, began occurring with increasing frequency. Isabella learned that Rashid's marriage felt more like a business merger than a romantic partnership, that his wife viewed his physical appearance as a reflection of her own status, and that his obsession with fitness was actually an attempt to maintain control over the one aspect of his life that wealth couldn't automatically perfect. The shift from professional to personal happened during a late evening training session in June, when the gym's usual crowds had dispersed, and they found themselves alone in the mirrored VIP room. Rashid had been pushing through a particularly challenging routine, and Isabella was spotting him during bench presses when their eyes met in the mirror. "You see me," Rashid said, his voice barely above a whisper as Isabella helped him rack the weights. "I see a client achieving his goals," Isabella replied, but her professional tone lacked its usual conviction. "No," Rashid said, sitting up on the bench so they were face to face. "You see me. Not my money, not my business, not my family connections, just me." The kiss that followed was inevitable and absolutely prohibited. In that moment, Isabella forgot about employment contracts, visa regulations, and the impossible gulf between a gym owner and his employee. She only felt wanted for her mind, her skills, and her dedication, rather than treated as invisible labor that happened to have an attractive exterior. Their relationship evolved rapidly from professional attraction to passionate affair, conducted in the spaces between Isabella's scheduled training sessions and Rashid's business obligations. The gym's VIP room, equipped with mirrors on every wall, became their private sanctuary where they could explore their connection without interference from the outside world. What Isabella didn't realize was that the same mirror technology that made the VIP room perfect for training also made it perfect for surveillance. The gym's security system, installed by Rashid himself to protect his valuable equipment and elite clientele, recorded everything that happened within its walls in ultra-high definition. "I never knew physical connection could be this intense," Isabella whispered during one of their July encounters, her body pressed against Rashid's on the leather training bench. "You've awakened something in me that I thought was dead," Rashid replied, his hands tracing the muscles he had helped develop through their training sessions. "With you, I feel like my body belongs to me again." Their conversations, intimate moments, and physical encounters were all being automatically recorded by security cameras that Rashid had forgotten were programmed to capture everything for client safety purposes. For 6 weeks, their affair unfolded across the gym's private spaces, each encounter captured in detail by security systems that neither lover remembered existed. The cameras recorded not just their physical intimacy, but their emotional confessions, their plans for future meetings, and most damaging of all, their discussions about Rashid's marriage. "Layla sees my body as her property," Rashid confided during one recorded conversation. "She schedules my workouts, controls my diet, even chooses my workout clothes. You're the first person who's ever helped me feel like my strength belongs to me." "This is dangerous for both of us," Isabella replied, her voice clearly captured by the audio system. "If anyone finds out about us, I lose my job, my visa, my family's future. You lose a marriage that's worth billions in business connections." "Maybe some things are worth more than business," Rashid said, words that would later be played in court as evidence of premeditation. Layla Al Maktoum Al Mansouri had not built her social media empire and maintained her position as Dubai's premier fitness influencer by ignoring details. By August, she had noticed the subtle changes in her husband's behavior, his increased enthusiasm for gym sessions, his new preference for evening workouts, and most tellingly, his improved mood after training sessions with his new Filipina trainer. As a woman who had built her career on visual perfection, Layla understood the power of observation. She began paying closer attention to Rashid's post-workout demeanor, the way he spoke about his training progress, and the unusual amount of time he spent in the gym's VIP room. "Your training with Isabella seems very intensive," Layla commented during one of their rare shared dinners in August. "She's an exceptional trainer," Rashid replied, his tone carefully neutral. "Her techniques are producing results faster than I've ever experienced." But Layla had not survived Dubai's competitive social hierarchy by accepting surface explanations. She began formulating a plan to discover what was really happening during those extended private training sessions. Layla's investigation started with the gym security footage, which she accessed using Rashid's administrative passwords during one of his business trips to Abu Dhabi. What she discovered over 3 hours of reviewing recorded sessions destroyed not just her marriage, but her entire identity as half of Dubai's perfect power couple. The footage was comprehensive and devastating. 6 weeks of intimate encounters between her husband and his trainer, captured in multiple angles with crystal-clear audio. More painful than the physical betrayal were the emotional confessions, Rashid expressing feelings for Isabella that he had never shared with his wife, discussing their marriage in terms that revealed his true contempt for their relationship. Sitting in her walk-in closet, surrounded by designer fitness, where that represented her brand as Dubai's fitness queen, Layla made a decision that would transform her from betrayed wife into calculated killer. The evening of September 8, 2024, marked the moment Layla Al Mansouri's carefully constructed world collapsed entirely. Alone in the mansion she had decorated to showcase their perfect marriage, she spent 4 hours reviewing security footage that documented every intimate detail of her husband's affair with Isabella Cruz. The videos were more than evidence of infidelity. They were a complete rejection of everything Layla had built her identity around. Watching Isabella and Rashid together, she saw passion, genuine connection, and emotional intimacy that had never existed in her own marriage. The contrast was devastating and humiliating. "She's giving him something I never could," Layla whispered to herself as she watched footage of Isabella and Rashid sharing quiet moments after their physical encounters. "And he's giving her something he never gave me." But the most damaging discovery was audio of Rashid discussing their marriage with Isabella. "Layla is beautiful, successful, perfect on paper, but being with her feels like performing in a play where I never learned my lines. With you, I can finally be authentic." Layla Al Maktoum had not become Dubai's most influential fitness personality by allowing others to destroy her carefully crafted image. Over the next week, she developed a strategy that would eliminate the threat to her marriage while maintaining her reputation as the UAE's premier power couple. The plan was elegant in its simplicity. She would confront Isabella during one of their private training sessions, present the video evidence, and demand her immediate resignation and departure from Dubai. If Isabella refused, Layla would release the footage publicly, destroying both Isabella's career and Rashid's business reputation. What Layla hadn't anticipated was how completely her discovery of the affair had changed her own psychological state. The woman who had built an empire on self-control and perfect presentation was experiencing rage, humiliation, and betrayal at levels that shattered her usual emotional management. On October 12th, Layla used her access to the gym's scheduling system to book the VIP training room for what she told Isabella was a consultation about personal training services. Isabella, unaware that her affair had been discovered, agreed to the meeting, assuming it was a business opportunity that could increase her income. Layla prepared meticulously for the confrontation, loading the most damaging video footage onto a tablet and rehearsing exactly how she would present the evidence. Her plan was to maintain control, deliver the ultimatum calmly, and accept Isabella's inevitable capitulation and departure. "I'll give her 24 hours to pack her belongings and leave Dubai," Layla told herself as she prepared for the meeting. "Rashid will never know I discovered his pathetic little affair, and our marriage will continue exactly as it was." But Layla had underestimated both Isabella's emotional attachment to Rashid and her own capacity for violence when her perfect life was threatened. October 13th began as a typical Sunday for Isabella, who spent the morning sending money to her family in the Philippines and video calling her sister Patricia about nursing school applications. She had no idea that her relationship with Rashid had been discovered, no warning that her entire life in Dubai was about to implode. Her last message to her family was a photo of herself in workout clothes, captioned, "Another day building dreams in Dubai. Love you all." That evening, as Isabella prepared for what she believed was a routine consultation with a potential new client, she was actually walking into a confrontation that would end her life and destroy two families across two continents. Isabella arrived at Platinum Fitness that Sunday evening expecting a standard consultation with Layla Al-Mansouri, whom she knew primarily as Rashid's wife and Dubai's premier fitness influencer. The gym was closed to regular members, creating the private atmosphere that Layla needed for her planned confrontation. "Thank you for meeting me on such short notice," Layla said, her voice maintaining the polished professionalism that had made her a social media star. "I have something important to discuss with you regarding your training methods." Isabella, still unaware of what was about to unfold, settled into one of the VIP room's leather chairs. "Of course, Mrs. Al-Mansouri, I'm always interested in improving my techniques and expanding my client base." The irony wasn't lost on Layla that they were meeting in the same room where Isabella had conducted her affair with Rashid, surrounded by the mirrors that had captured every intimate moment. Without preamble, Layla placed the tablet on the chrome training table between them and pressed play. The screen filled with high-definition footage of Isabella and Rashid's most intimate encounter from the previous week, the audio crystal clear as their passionate confessions filled the mirrored room. Isabella's face went pale as she recognized herself and Rashid in the compromising footage. "Mrs. Al-Mansouri, I can explain." "Explain what?" Layla interrupted, her carefully controlled demeanor beginning to crack. "Explain how you seduced my husband. Explain how you used your body to manipulate him. Explain how you destroyed my marriage for your own selfish desires." The tablet continued playing, cycling through weeks of recorded encounters while both women sat in horrified silence. Isabella, devastated by the exposure of her most private moments, Layla reliving every betrayal in excruciating detail. "I could destroy you with this footage," Layla continued, her voice rising as her emotional control began to slip. "I could send this to every gym in Dubai, every employment agency, every Filipino community center. I could ensure you never work in this industry again." Isabella found her voice, desperation making her bold. "What do you want from me?" "I want you gone," Layla replied, her words sharp as broken glass. "Out of Dubai, out of my husband's life, out of our world. You have 24 hours to pack your belongings and disappear. If you contact Rashid, if you try to fight this, if you even hesitate, I will make sure your family in the Philippines sees exactly what kind of woman you really are." But Isabella's response wasn't the immediate capitulation Layla had expected. "I won't just disappear like I never existed," Isabella said, standing from her chair with the same athletic grace that had first attracted Rashid. "What Rashid and I have is real. It's not just physical. We connect in ways you obviously never have." The words hit Layla like physical blows, confirming her worst fears about the inadequacy of her own marriage. "You think you know him? You're nothing but a foreign worker he's using for entertainment. When he gets bored with your body, you'll be replaced just like all the others." "There were no others," Isabella replied, her voice growing stronger despite the devastating situation. "And there won't be others after me. He loves me." The word love shattered the last remnants of Layla's self-control. In that moment, 5 years of building the perfect marriage, the perfect image, and the perfect life condensed into pure rage focused on the woman who had revealed it all as an illusion. What happened next would be captured by the same security cameras that had recorded the affair. But this time, the footage would document murder rather than romance. The confrontation that had begun with calculated threats spiraled into lethal violence when Isabella refused to accept Layla's ultimatum. According to security footage later reviewed by investigators, the turning point came when Isabella stood to leave, announcing her intention to discuss the situation with Rashid before making any decisions. "You're not leaving until this is resolved," Layla said, positioning herself between Isabella and the VIP room's exit. "You can't keep me here against my will," Isabella replied, her athletic training evident as she moved with controlled power toward the door. What followed was captured in horrifying detail by the gym's security system. Layla, consumed by rage and humiliation, grabbed a 25-pound weight plate from the nearby rack and swung it with surprising force at Isabella's head. The impact sent Isabella crashing into the mirrored wall, her reflection shattering as she collapsed to the floor. But the initial blow hadn't been fatal. Security footage showed Isabella attempting to rise, blood streaming from her head wound, as she tried to reach her phone to call for help. For 15 minutes after Isabella's death, Layla sat motionless in the blood-stained VIP room, surrounded by shattered mirrors and the evidence of her crime. Then her survival instincts engaged, and she began implementing a cover-up plan that demonstrated both her intelligence and her complete disconnection from reality. Layla's first action was to delete what she believed were all copies of the security footage from the gym's system. Her second was to stage the scene to suggest that Isabella had been the victim of a robbery gone wrong, a narrative that might be believable given Dubai's occasional crimes targeting foreign workers. She planted jewelry and cash around Isabella's body, then used Isabella's own phone to send messages to her roommate Carmen, suggesting that she was leaving Dubai suddenly for a family emergency. Rashid Al-Mansouri arrived at the gym at 6:30 a.m. on October 14th for his scheduled training session with Isabella, unaware that his wife had discovered their affair and murdered his lover. His shock at finding Isabella's body was genuine and captured by security cameras that Layla had failed to properly disable. His first call was to emergency services, his second was to his lawyer, and his third was to his wife, who answered the phone with perfect calm and expressed appropriate shock at the terrible tragedy that had befallen his trainer. What Rashid didn't realize was that Dubai police had already recovered the security footage that Layla thought she had deleted, and that her attempt to frame the murder as a robbery had been immediately exposed by forensic evidence. Within 6 hours, both Rashid and Layla would be in police custody. He as a person of interest, she as the primary suspect in a murder that had been recorded in complete detail. Dubai Metropolitan Police arrived at Platinum Fitness within 15 minutes of Rashid's emergency call, immediately recognizing that the crime scene had been staged. Detective Captain Ahmed Al-Rashid, a 20-year veteran of Dubai's most high-profile cases, noted several inconsistencies that contradicted the robbery narrative Layla had attempted to create. Robbery victims don't arrange cash and jewelry around their own bodies, Detective Al-Rashid explained to his team. And they certainly don't send text messages after suffering fatal head trauma. This was personal, planned, and poorly concealed. The most damaging evidence came from the gym's security system, which employed cloud backup technology that automatically uploaded footage to servers beyond the reach of local deletion attempts. While Layla had successfully erased files from the gym's main system, she had no access to the backup servers that retained everything. Within 24 hours, investigators had recovered not just footage of the murder, but 6 weeks of recorded encounters between Isabella and Rashid that provided clear motive for Layla's crime. The videos showed premeditation, as cameras captured Layla reviewing the affair footage in the days before the murder, her emotional state deteriorating with each viewing. Most damaging was audio of Layla practicing her confrontation speech, including the words, "If she won't leave willingly, I'll make sure she can never threaten my marriage again." The investigation revealed that Layla had spent 3 days researching Isabella's schedule, identifying the perfect time for a private confrontation, and preparing what she initially intended as threats, but ultimately became murder. Rashid's interrogation revealed that he had been completely unaware of his wife's discovery of the affair. His genuine shock at Isabella's death, combined with his cooperation with investigators, gradually shifted his status from suspect to witness. However, the revelation of his infidelity destroyed his marriage and his reputation simultaneously. "I loved Isabella," Rashid confessed during his police interview, tears streaming down his face. "But I never imagined that loving her would get her killed. If I had known Layla was capable of this, I would have left her months ago." His testimony provided crucial context for understanding Layla's psychological state, confirming that their marriage had been emotionally empty for years, and that Isabella represented everything Layla feared losing. Layla Al-Mansouri was arrested at her designer mansion on October 16th, maintaining her innocence despite overwhelming video evidence of her crime. Her arrest, broadcast live on social media by neighbors and paparazzi, marked the spectacular collapse of Dubai's most envied power couple. "I acted in self-defense," Layla claimed during her initial interrogation, a statement that was immediately contradicted by security footage showing her premeditation and Isabella's attempts to escape. The woman who had built her career on visual perfection was photographed in handcuffs, her designer workout clothes replaced by prison uniforms, her carefully maintained social media presence frozen at the moment of her arrest. The State of Dubai versus Layla Al Maktoum Al Mansouri opened in February 2025 as the most watched criminal trial in UAE history. The case attracted international media coverage, with journalists from 23 countries covering proceedings that would be broadcast live across social media platforms where Layla had once reigned as an influencer queen. Layla's defense team, led by London-based QC Sarah Mitchell, argued that their client had suffered a psychological breakdown upon discovering her husband's affair, claiming temporary insanity had driven her to violence. The prosecution, headed by Dubai's chief prosecutor Khalid Al-Zara, presented the case as premeditated murder motivated by jealousy and social status protection. The most compelling evidence was the security footage, which prosecutors played in its entirety, showing not just the murder but the weeks of affair documentation that had driven Layla to homicidal rage. Rashid Al-Mansouri's testimony provided the most emotionally charged moments of the trial. Speaking publicly for the first time since Isabella's death, he detailed the evolution of his relationship with Isabella from professional training to intimate love affair. "Isabella saw me as a human being, not as a business asset or social media prop," Rashid testified, his voice breaking as prosecutors displayed photos of Isabella training clients at the gym. "She loved me for who I was, not what I represented. His testimony revealed the emotional emptiness of his marriage to Layla, confirming that their relationship had been based on social status rather than genuine connection. Layla and I were perfect on Instagram, but we were strangers in private. Isabella made me feel alive for the first time in years. Under cross-examination, defense attorneys attempted to portray Rashid as a manipulative predator who had exploited Isabella's vulnerable position as a foreign worker. But his genuine grief and cooperation with investigators undermined this narrative. Dr. Amira Hassan, a forensic psychologist specializing in crimes of passion, testified about the psychological factors that had driven Layla to murder. Her analysis focused on the intersection of social media culture, perfectionist personality disorders, and the specific triggers that had shattered Layla's emotional control. Mrs. Al-Mansouri had built her entire identity around being the perfect wife, the perfect influencer, the perfect representation of successful modern Arab womanhood, Dr. Hassan explained. Discovering her husband's affair threatened not just her marriage, but her fundamental sense of self. The expert testimony revealed how social media culture had amplified Layla's need for control and perfection, making Isabella's existence an existential threat that required elimination. After 3 days of deliberation, the Dubai Criminal Court delivered its verdict in a packed courtroom where Isabella's family participated via video link from the Philippines. Judge Hassan Al-Maktoum, no relation to the defendant, found Layla Al-Mansouri guilty of premeditated murder in the first degree, rejecting the defense's claims of temporary insanity. The evidence shows clear premeditation, methodical planning, and callous disregard for human life, Judge Al-Maktoum stated as he delivered the verdict. The defendant's actions were motivated not by passion, but by calculated desire to eliminate a perceived threat to her social status. Layla was sentenced to life imprisonment without the possibility of parole, the harshest sentence available under UAE law. The court also ordered her to pay $2.5 million in compensation to Isabella's family, to be drawn from her frozen assets and business holdings. Her reaction to the verdict, stone-faced silence followed by a collapse requiring medical attention, was broadcast live across social media platforms where she had once commanded millions of followers.